All right, we've got our guest here, Steven Enns. How you doing, Steve?
Yeah, good, Jesse.
So, Steve and I don't want to say Steve and I go way back. It's like I have a distant memory with Steve, and I'm very thankful. A little story here. Steve and a good friend of his and a partner of his, Josh, were running a meetup up here in Vancouver, Canada. I think it was like something about wholesaling. I don't even know what the word wholesaling meant, but somebody told me, I don't know where to attend this event and really didn't want to go, but thank God I did because it put me on a whole different trajectory. And anyways, so little story there. Steve, you're also based out here with me in Vancouver, Canada. There's not a
That's
lot of
right.
us up here across the border, and I'd love to talk about some of that as well, working across the border and what that's like. But before all that, can you give us an understanding how you kind of got started and who you are in this whole sort of real estate investing space?
Yeah. Yeah. So Jesse, great being on. Yeah, so I got started in this industry, I think it was around 2015. Josh and I, we attended just by chance, we attended this Fortune Builders event.
Yes.
And we went there not really planning anything, but we went to this event and essentially um, yeah, I don't know. They brought up a couple ways of buying real estate, and one was real estate wholesaling.
Yeah.
So we learned a little bit more about that. We didn't actually sign up with Fortune Builders, but we signed on with the gentleman Ken Clothier and Justin Colby and Sean Terry, and we hired them as coaches. Um, and then yeah, everything's kind of like the rest is history. We started in Austin, Texas. We started wholesaling property in Austin, Texas, and since then have expanded nationwide. Predominantly, we're in Georgia, Texas, and Arkansas, but we've done deals everywhere. Yeah, no, it started 2015. We've evolved. We've gone through so much over the last decade, trying to navigate, especially the last 4 years.
Mm.
We've been scaling, we've had to go back, and everything in between. So it's been a
Yeah.
journey for sure.
Yeah. Um, One thing here you mentioned before we kind of go on in your journey here, you mentioned you hired some coaches. I mean, people like Kent, that's a pretty big name. Um, and I think that's probably one of the advice I would give to a lot of people is just like either get some coaching or work under somebody or get a connection with somebody that knows what they're doing, maybe only even if it only a step ahead of you. So how did you go about that? Was it a lot easier to get access to somebody like that? Do you have to throw down a lot of cash to do that? How did you guys approach that?
Well, yeah, so that's there's a lot of different ways to take that. So absolutely, like I think coaches, mentors are invaluable. Especially when starting out, like they know things about the business that you just simply don't know. It's like trying to start something and the lights are completely off and you're trying to go somewhere but you don't know the direction that you're wanting to go. Hiring Kent, Justin, and Sean as our coaches, like I said, it was invaluable, because lots of times, like, you don't know what you don't know, and you'll literally create obstacles, and you don't even know that you're doing them. So it's the quickest way to go from A to B. It does cost money. We didn't have at the time a lot of money to invest in coaching, but we took the leap of faith. And as a result, we're here, we're doing what we're doing. Good friends of ours, all three of them. I can pick up a phone and call them whenever there's a situation that comes up, or something I don't know. And they're always available, right? And so, like, was it absolutely worth it? 100%. I think the main reason why people don't hire coaches is because they don't necessarily see the value in it, right? Out of the gates. They know it's there, but the price tag to it is expensive, or they don't have the money to do it. And that's, we can get into this later, but that's some of the limiting beliefs that I think really prevent people from stepping forward and moving into, the space in which they want to be in. But you always have to be evolving. And that's what coaches and mentors do, is they force you to grow. They force you to step outside your limiting beliefs, your boundaries, and they help guide you through that process. So absolutely invaluable.
Um, what was your limiting beliefs when you started? Oh, no, I want to say when you started. Let's just say early on, as you kind of got
Early
started.
early on, I think that, a lot of fear around finances, right? Like stepping out of a structured job with six-figure salary, and then stepping into this unknown where I am solely responsible for, whatever it is that I make. Like what if this fails, and all those sorts of things kind of, play in your mind. Um, I think, I was actually really open. We were at the first ever, I think it was a summit that Sean and Kent held at the time. And we had just been in coaching for about 6 months. We closed one deal. And, it was at that conference that I made the decision that I was going to quit my job. And we had one deal signed, right? And I had mortgage, I had everything that, I bills I needed to pay and family I needed to feed. But I made the decision there to quit my job. Josh quit his job shortly after that, and we went all in on this. And I think the thing for me was like, it was never really a limiting belief of whether or not we could do this. It was just the fear of actually stepping out into that unknown. That was the hardest thing.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, that unknown. I mean, if we all knew what the known would be, I guess it'd be a lot easier. But this is the part of it, running a business and going off on your own. Um, so you're wholesaling across the border here. What help us to understand like operationally, financially, everything. How does it become a challenge for you guys to operate across the border from here in Vancouver?
Well, I think there's not really any challenge. There's ways in which, I mean, we set up our business, and this is kind of over my pay grade, but we have a team here that, set up our business from accounting standpoint, which, allows for us to do what we do. The operationally though, I think it doesn't take a lot to get started. It's more about just how do you generate, the leads. What do you do when you speak with someone who's interested in selling their house or their land? And then what do you do from there, right? Like how do you send out the contract? How do you get, your investors interested in the property? What do you do when you find an investor? Title, like all of those sort of logistical things and operational things, is, kind of I guess the harder part of it. But actually doing deals in the States is easy. I shouldn't say easy. It's a required skill. Like it's something that you acquire over time, but it's not hard to do once you know what it is that you're doing.
Hmm. So then what are some of those skills that you have to acquire? I mean, there has to be something slightly different with you being so far away from Austin or wherever you started in. I mean, first of all, you guys aren't out there, but then again, do you really need to be there? Yeah, so like what kind of skills did you see you have to develop? Maybe your other peers didn't have to worry so much about being that they're closer or within the state that they're working out of.
Yeah. So, I mean, we've been 100% virtual from day one. And I remember the first contract that we got, and just before that, actually, there was no one talking about virtual wholesaling. There was no one talking about nationwide wholesaling. There was no one, there's no coaching on this. And so for us, like it really was a mindset thing. Like first thing that comes to mind is like, well, why would somebody trust us? We're never going to meet them in person. We're never going to step foot in their property. Like, why would somebody trust us with this? And I think that the big thing is just really your ability to build rapport with someone, understanding the problem that you're trying to solve, and providing solutions. Honesty, being fully transparent, and like just really sticking with our core values is super important, because that, when you're speaking with someone over the phone like that is something that they feel, right? And you build that connection. So for us, like, I think the big thing is just like your ability to obviously speak with people, listen to their problems, listen to, whatever's going on in their life, and then being able to provide them solutions.
Mm.
So that's one of the things. I mean, there's a bunch of different skills. If I could go back, the first thing I would do is I'd be really good at marketing. Like, that would have been the number one thing, because that's the area of our business over the last couple of years that we really had to course correct, because we outsourced everything,
Mm.
and now we're bringing everything in-house. So marketing and sales, really, like, those are the two main components of this business. Marketing for sellers, marketing for buyers,
Mm.
being able to, I guess, build rapport, connect with people, make all that sales,
Yeah.
provide solutions, and then progress the lead. So those are the two main categories that I feel are the most important things that you got to learn. And there's training out there for it, or there's people like yourself that can help with lead gen. So those would be the two biggest things.
Um, and so when it came to marketing, you had everything outsourced. Can you give us a clear picture of what was that? Were you outsourcing cold calling? Was it
Yeah.
outsourcing, whatever? And
Well,
now what did you bring in-house now?
yeah. So, I mean, when we first started, we had, and this is where you have to, like, become very clear on your vision and your, like, what your vision is, and not start adopting other people's visions. And because you see it on social media, you hear about it, and it's very easy to get sucked into, what that other person's doing out there. And then you take on what they're doing as a blueprint, and it doesn't work for you. Um, so, one of the things that, like, we did very early on was try to scale our company. And we tried scaling our company, through outsourcing marketing. So we would like, we had a couple, I'm not going to mention any names,
Yep.
but we were using, PPC providers, we were using cold call companies, we were using someone to do, our direct mail and our lead management and all of that initially. And the idea there was that Josh and I wanted to scale ourselves out of the business as quickly as possible. And we almost, completely destroyed the company. Our cost per lead at one time, we were in a mastermind. Oh, and masterminds are super important. Had we not gone to this mastermind, I'm not sure where we would have been today, but we went there, and Sean and Kent started breaking down our numbers, and we realized that our average cost per deal to our business was sitting, I think it was around $10,000. And we were making $15,000 in every deal. So operationally, you can't sustain yourself when you're doing that.
Mm.
So we tried to scale ourselves out of the business as quickly as possible to get that time freedom and that lifestyle. But we didn't know our numbers, our KPIs. We were bleeding out cash, and something had to change. So I jumped back into sales. Josh jumped back into dispositions, and we really started dialing in our numbers. And so, we've have what we call a golden ratio still today in this business, where we can see very quickly how our company's performing. And we know, okay, if it's not performing at least a 4-to-1, then we know that we got to start looking at other things. But anyways, before we go there, when we went through that process, we realized, okay, we got to start bringing some of this in-house. So we ended up starting up our own cold call team. We, brought people in-house, acquisitions, dispositions in-house, or transaction coordination in-house. And we really just focused on scaling our business slowly. And this was probably in 2017. And then from there, we just continued to grow and open up new markets.
Thanks for sharing that. You mentioned there, you know, careful on adopting others' visions. Is that sort of aligned with, you know, you guys seeing what's working for others, but may not work for you guys personally, or what does that exactly mean? And give us an example.
When you live in the land of social media and everyone, for the most part, like they're playing their highlight reels, um, it can get very distracting. And, you could feel like let's say you're struggling and you're having a difficult time. And, it's very easy to look at that shiny object and be like, okay, I got to do that. That's what I got to do right now.
Yeah.
And then you switch gears. And what happens there is that whatever it is that you were doing might have been working. It's just taking time for it to actually materialize into something.
Right.
And so what I see often, and this is, what we were doing, is that we were going back and forth between things. And when you do that, you stop the flow of whatever it is that you're doing and what you've been working on, and now you're shifting it. And so something that could have been working, um, you stop, and then you move to something else and it doesn't work. And then you find yourself trying to get back to what it was that you were doing before, except now you've lost all this time. So, I think in the world that we live in right now, where, you have gurus or coaches or masterminds or people showing, their successes, which is great. It's just really important for you to know what it is that you want to do, right? And how you want to go about doing it, and realize that there's many different ways in which you can achieve something. And it's just, you got to really make sure that it actually is something that's right for you. And so for us, it was that. It was like, okay, we're trying to grow our company as fast as possible. We're trying to get, take the shortcuts, and shortcuts don't work. I'm telling you, like, I haven't met one person that's been able to successfully take a shortcut to success. Um, but all of this is part of the process, man. Like, you learn, like, you fail lots, you learn a lot, and you just continue pushing forward. And then you start finding out what works for you and your company, and things start materializing.
Yeah, there's a line I say, it's not sexy or anything like that, but I always say on this podcast, it's like, because I get a lot of people that come on here and they talk about what's working for them, and I always feel a little guilty because I'm sure it causes somebody to get that shiny ball syndrome, or triggers that, or flares it up. And I do want to put out there, I it's like everything works and everything doesn't work. And so I
Absolutely.
think I think what you said, Steve, here is, what works for you, what is true to you, and those are things you really, really have to think about. So I'm glad I can revisit that topic again here with you and make sure I stress this to whoever's listening. You may hear one thing that works for Steve, but it may not work for you. So careful with what you pick up, and yeah. Anyways, thanks for
I,
sharing.
yeah, at one point, like, we had a staff of 65 people.
Wow.
We had a large cold call team. We had 13 acquisitions people.
Wow.
We had, I think, 4 dispositions people, transaction coordinator, transaction assistant, a marketing team. And this was probably somewhere in 2019, 2020. And we thought that was great. And we were doing well, right?
Yeah.
But it was not great. Like, operationally, going back, I do it differently. And and I don't know if I wouldn't need to have as many people now,
Mm.
knowing what I know after going through that, in order to achieve that same level of success.
Mm.
And so, like, part of that is, like, when you're trying to adopt other people's things, strategies, and you're trying to implement them exactly as they do it into your business, sometimes you take away that learning, right? That
Yeah.
going through the failure, and learning what is actually important to you and your business. because you're constantly trying to chase something that someone else has already done. And it causes a lot of pain and suffering because you have that expectation. You have that expectation. Well, hey, it worked for Jessey. It's going to work for me.
Right.
All I got to do is ABC, and in 6 months from now, I'm going to be laughing.
Yeah.
And then it doesn't work.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, because you're built differently.
Yeah.
I'm not built the same as Jessey. I'm not built the same as these other guys.
Yeah.
And so like when you're true to yourself and you're true to your vision and you know exactly what it is, most people know exactly what it is that they need to do.
Yeah.
And you listen to that voice and you listen to that, you feel that feeling, amazing things start to happen. But it's when you get distracted by other people and what they're doing,
Yeah.
is when the pain and the suffering comes in. That's when, the comparison's the thief of joy,
Mm.
right?
Yeah.
And when you're comparing yourself usually to someone who's been in the business 15 plus years, right? I'm telling you, every single successful person that I know in this business,
Yeah.
it's a longevity game. It is something where it's not they've gone through years of pain and suffering financially. Like,
Mm.
and people underestimate the amount of pain and suffering that you go through when trying to realize your dream.
Yeah.
It's like it's like so disproportionate. Like I saw Alex Ramosi write something about this the other day, and like the amount of pain that you go through as trying to realize your dream is so disproportionate compared to there's no way of putting it. People think that like, yeah, I'll go through hard times, and then the hard times get there and they think, oh, okay, this will last 6 months, and it lasts much, much longer than that. And people just don't realize that it is 100% a longevity game. And
Yeah.
if you're not going to buy it, like you have to buy into your vision and you have to believe in it. And so,
Mm.
like you said, anything will work for you, but it
Yeah.
ultimately comes down to the belief of it. Like, do you actually believe in it?
Mm.
Any lead source will work, but do you believe in it? Like, do
Hmm.
you actually believe in it? And if you don't actually believe that it's going to work for you,
Yeah.
don't do it.
Yeah. One thing that just hit really hard was just two words or a couple words you mentioned, like we're built differently. Like you hear it all the time, like, oh, do what resonates you, we'll do what works for you. But man, I think you made it very tangible by just saying, we're all built differently, and we have different skill sets where we all operate differently, and that a lot of times does not get accounted for. Like you said, just following a formula, thinking that you can just replicate it. I appreciate you saying that. Um, your team was quite big at that time. If you're open to that, can you describe what your team looks like now? Yeah.
Yeah, so we're at 65 people.
Okay, still.
We're No, we were
Oh,
at
Oh, yeah.
65 people.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're down, like we're now, last I think it's around 20.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So about a third of the size.
What was the big, what was the big thing there how did you get to downsize? It's like almost the opposite of what a lot of people think. Oh, I got to scale up the team. And it's like, oh, I realize I don't want such a big team. And so what was it that caused you guys to downsize, and how did you go about downsizing the team?
Well, yeah, so we had to. When interest rates went
Mm,
up,
yeah.
inflation.
Yeah.
So this was just, around 2022.
Yeah.
We were scaling our business, and I remember, we were in Tampa Bay for a mastermind, and we started having, investors that we work with saying like they're going on the sidelines. We had funds that we were working with, basically sending out emails saying that we're not buying for the foreseeable future. Interest rates shooting up. You had this was on, like, after we had historically low interest rates,
Yeah.
everyone was buying,
Yeah.
and properties were appreciating every single month by 10%.
Yeah.
And then so sellers had this inflated price, like they just, and so it took about 12 months for that to slowly adjust.
Yeah.
Now, I remember I just told you that pain, like the pain, the amount of pain and suffering that you go through is crazy. And so we'd spent all this time building up a team to find out that our overhead, like our overhead was so inflated. We were going to be out of business if we didn't do something.
Mm.
And so we had to scale back. We had to scale back our people.
Yeah.
Some people left, right? It was hard, man. Like you couldn't get deals because sellers wanted too much, buyers weren't buying.
Yeah.
Everything was just at a standstill. And I remember just like it was November and I was driving home, man, and I was just thinking like, what the heck is going on?
Hmm. Yeah.
Right? Like, God, the universe, whatever it is, like, like what is this? Like I've spent so long, so hard, like I've spent so much time building this, and it's like literally watching it crumble down around me.
Hmm.
And yeah, really scary time. And so like it was just pure necessity that we had to scale down.
Yeah.
um and it sucked. And I didn't want to get back on phones with sellers. I didn't want to go back to basically where we were when we started, but
Hmm.
we had to. It's part of the journey, I guess. I look back on it now and I would have done things differently for sure. But again, what I've learned from that experience far exceeds anything that, you know, uh, it's invaluable, the
Yeah.
lessons that I learned through that process. So yeah, it had to be done.
It's so funny. It's like, and this never ends. This never ends when it comes to running a business and the dips and the lows. Sometimes like really long lows, and sometimes great highs. So, where are you right now? How are you feeling yourself, and how are you digesting all of that right now?
Well, yeah, so that was like 3 years ago, 3.5 years ago. Our numbers are better than they've ever been. Our profit, our company's profit is better than it's ever been. Like we're doing more with less overhead. Our conversions are tough. I mean, it would be very hard for someone to show me better conversions. I mean,
Wow.
we're converting every one out of every 4.5 leads that we get.
Whoa.
Um, and so like through that, like again, it's so hard to explain, but those that have gone through it, they know when you're faced with something like that, and it's like it's a big gut punch.
Hmm.
And like every day you wake up and you're just getting knocked down, knocked down, knocked down. You really have you have two choices, really, and it's like to give up and quit, um, or to keep going and figure it out.
Yeah.
And for some reason, and even to this day, no matter whatever it is that I'm going through,
Mm.
there's this deeper knowing that I'm doing the right thing. Like I'm doing what I'm meant to do, and like things just will happen as a result of me showing up every single day and chipping away at that dream, right? Working toward it.
Yeah.
So today, like things are, we're doing more with less. I've never been more busy. I also have, a family at home of 3 kids as well. So
Wow. Congrats.
so yeah, so it's busy. But again, like I know that this is going somewhere.
Yeah.
And what I've stopped doing is I've stopped putting a time of when something's going to happen.
Mm.
I don't like that expectation. The reason why is that if it doesn't, then it sets up this, kind of sets me up for disappointment. Every single day, I just try to be present. I just try to be present in the moment. As a result of going through what I've gone through the last, 3.5 years,
Yeah.
I'm a way better father as a result of it. Because when shit's going down inside your business
Yeah.
and you have to get home and be a dad,
Dad.
and you're like, how am I going to do that? I just got run over by a truck today, and how am
Yeah.
I going to show up for my family?
Yeah. Yeah.
And you got to make that decision. Like, hey, I driving home one day, I just, I realized something. And I realized that if I can't be a great dad when times are tough, and I'm only going to be a great dad when times are good,
Yeah.
no, that's not it. So I made that decision, that no matter what happens, the moment I step inside my house,
Yeah.
nothing else matters. And and so I wouldn't be that dad that I am today if I didn't go through that.
Hmm.
Because when you have almost nothing and you have to show up and be everything to someone else, um, it's a tough thing to do, especially when like the business is crumbling around you.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be the dad that I am today. I wouldn't have the spirituality I have today. I wouldn't have the belief and the faith that I have today without that experience. And these are the lessons. And I don't, Jessey, have you ever heard of like the Valley of Death?
No.
Okay. So the Valley of Death is, there's different stages of it. Okay. So stage one, you're starting your business, it's going and like you're making some money. It's more of a lifestyle business.
Hmm.
You're at the Valley of Death, right? Stage one. And then you hit a plateau and you're like, okay, I'm going to make this decision to go to the next plateau and I'm going to scale my operation. And people often think it's going to go like this.
Mm.
But what happens here is that you start breaking things in your business because as you want to scale up, you start adding people and you start doing different things. You have to add marketing, you have to add, like, so you're spending more money and there's this valley of death. And then, so in the valley of death, like that's pain. That's pain. There's a lot of failure. There's a lot of learning that goes on there. And then as you go through that, you start going up, right? And that's stage two. And so a lot of businesses get in this plateau, like this plateau around $1 million.
Mm.
Stage two is more like you're growing up to 5 million. And then stage three is beyond that, right?
Mm.
But the valley of death is something where like I used to fear it, I used to hate it, and now I know what it means, and it's growth. And in order for me to get and to evolve to that next level, my business, myself, everything, mind, body, health, spirituality, all that stuff, you have to go through that valley of death because it breaks the old you. It breaks the part of the ego that needs to die in order for you to achieve and accelerate to that next level. And and so a lot of people get stuck in that valley of death and then they quit.
Does that valley of death, is it a cycle? You plateau, you get through that valley of death, you finally come out of it. If you come out of it, you hit a new trajectory and you plateau again,
Yeah.
and then you hit another valley of death. Is that how it works?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh. And is
Yeah.
this a book that we can link people to? Did you
You
say
know
it's a
what?
book?
I know it is in a book. I don't know which one it is. I'd have to find it.
Okay, we'll Google it and I'll make sure I put it in the show notes
Yeah.
for others to check that out. I appreciate that. Okay, a couple more questions here. Now that you've downsized on the team, you've brought a lot of things in-house. Give us some tactical stuff now. What does marketing look like on for the acquisition side right now? What are you guys doing? What's working for you guys? Currently in the middle of 2025 right now.
Yeah. So we're running, we still have our cold call team. Um, that's producing a great ROI for us, always has been, from day one. And like, not surprising, like that's what we started with. So like, we believe in it. We've seen the results.
Yeah.
We do PPC, in-house, also
Wow.
great results. And then we supplement it with PPL.
Okay.
So, PPL costs more per lead, but we can turn it on, we can ramp it up quickly, and then we can bring it back if we need to. So those are our three main primary lead channels. In addition to that, I mean, referral business is huge for us.
Okay.
JVing, joint ventures
Yeah.
with other operators is another big revenue generating
Yeah.
a marketing source for us. So like, yeah, those are the marketing channels that we have going right now. We are working on some pretty cool things, which I can't really talk about right now.
Yeah.
which are, I don't see anyone doing them out there right now. And so I'm pretty excited to get that up and going and to test it out. But that's still in the development phase.
Cool. And then that's great. I mean, you can sort of express some of your creativity and reinvent your guys, well, yourselves, which is great to hear. One thing you mentioned earlier, Steve, you said the golden ratio, 4 to 1. What is that? Help us understand. I don't understand what that means. And if somebody has no idea what even a ratio is, so break it down to us at a very
Yeah.
basic level.
Yeah. So very basic. You take all of your company's expenses, marketing, operational, salaries, commissions, marketing budget, licenses, just all that. That's your operational. And then simply put, you just divide it by your revenue. It's so simple.
Okay.
And that's what your output ratio, the golden ratio is, right? And so for us, like think of it like this: if you're sitting at a 2 to 1,
Hmm.
for us, like that is okay. Like we seriously got to look at something here right now in our business because something's not working. And so we go through and we do this on a weekly, monthly, and quarterly basis. So I can see at any point in time, I can see exactly what the health is of our company.
Hmm.
Had I had this in the past, back in 21, 22, I would have seen that things were starting to trail.
Hmm.
That our ratio, our revenue versus expenses ratio was going down, and I would have made adjustments much sooner.
Gotcha.
And we didn't have that. So now I can look at it and I can see, okay, like this quarter so far, we're at a 4.56. Ideally, I want to see it at a 6.7 minimum, but a
Mm.
4.56, I know that for every dollar that we're spending, we're bringing in
All right.
4.56.
Got you. Got you.
So that's still healthy. If it dips below a 3, then okay, we're looking at it. Sometimes it'll dip below a 3, on a week or a month, and
Hmm.
that's okay. But if it's something that is consistently happening
Mm.
over an 8-week period, we're going back and we're looking into our marketing, we're looking into our operational, we're looking into our sales,
Yeah.
and we're looking at which one of them is the cause for the issue, right? We may be
Yeah.
getting the contracts, but we're not selling them. Okay,
Mm.
why is that? um and that's what that visibility, that level of visibility is what's safeguarding us through all of these fluctuations that are happening in the market, all of the micro macro sort of things that are happening in the world right now. And it allows for us to, with our marketing, like I can tell you right now, PPL for us last quarter did not do so well.
Mm.
Cold calling and PPC did, so we reallocated some of that budget into those higher producing channels.
Yeah.
So like that's the golden ratio.
Gotcha.
And it's very simple. Like you got to take all of your operating expenses and then you just divide it by your revenue.
So really, the golden ratio, the 4 to 1, it's like your revenue is 4 times greater than your expenses. Is
Exactly.
okay. Got you. Really appreciate that.
But yeah, so for us though, like we break it down per department too, right? So each department has its
That's their
own
own.
golden ratio based on its output and input.
And so do you have a standard you want to keep? And is it different per department, or is it everybody's standard? They have to be 4 to 1 or greater. That's a good sign. Is that for every department, or is it a little bit different?
Yeah, well, so for dispositions, like we want to see, like that's more of focused on the contract to close, right?
Mm.
So they're basically their KPI is really focused around percentages.
Mm.
Um, but that, yeah, same thing. Like we want to at least be at a 50%
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
that department. Acquisitions is going to be a little bit different because that's more of a volume based thing. So, when we're looking at, more of a appointment, so we have lead managers here that set appointments, in-house lead managers that set appointments for us. And we want to see that for every 4 appointments, we're getting a contract. And
Got
actually, like, it could be higher than that. Like if you're at a 7, 8, 10, like you're still just crushing it.
Yeah.
And that's what I think a lot of people, even higher than that, actually, I think is industry average. But over time, you get better at what it is that you do, and you get better at the marketing. We brought the marketing in-house, so we have more control over it, and we're getting better leads as a result of it. And doesn't mean that we're not opposed to trying new marketing channels. Certainly,
Yeah.
like I'll test new things, but we go at it slow. So every department, it's slightly different, but yeah, it all kind of builds into that big number, the company health.
Awesome. Steve, I really, really appreciate your time coming on the show, sharing with us some harsh truths of running a business, specifically a real estate investing business. People listening now, how can people engage with you? How can people be of service to you? What's the best way?
Yeah, so like Instagram, Facebook, we have, so like I think it's officially just Steve on Instagram, Steve Enns on Facebook. We have a Facebook group called Real Deal, and we're putting together a school course with just some training and stuff that we've done to help people grow their company and or get started even, I guess.
Yeah.
So those would be three great ways of getting in touch.
Awesome.
I'm happy to speak to whomever and try to help them along their way as well.
If people, well, maybe your school is course is not ready yet, would they be able to find it in that Facebook group eventually if they join that, so they can hang around and see what's up with you guys?
Absolutely, yeah, it will be there. In school, it's called Real Deal as well.
Okay.
Real Deal Real Estate. So we're just in the process of building that out.
Okay.
So it's taking some time. Um, but yeah, no, like they can go on Facebook and find us there for sure.
Awesome. Well, Steve, it's been awesome reconnecting with you, hearing your journey these last few years. I met you many, many, many years ago now, and it's great to hear all of that. So I appreciate you coming on, and best of luck with everything. Thanks, Steve, for sharing all your insights.
Yeah, Jesse, much appreciated, man. And like I really just want to say one last thing here.
Please.
Um, to anyone out there right now that is having a difficult time, like just know you're not alone. Okay. Like we go through it. Trust me, I have spent, many nights, looking up at the ceiling, wondering like, how am I ever going to get through this? And the key is just not to stop. It's just not to quit and to have faith in your vision, right? That dream that you have, right, is uniquely your dream. Like that is something that nobody else in this world has. They may have similar things like, okay, the house and the car, whatever it might be, but that dream is uniquely yours. That's a gift that's been given to you, and it already is in existence. It already is out there for you to, like, you will realize it. The key is just not to stop. And just like whatever's going on in your life right now, like try not to futurize the worst case. Um, Try to remain present, stay focused in this moment, because like that's where everything is built on. Like it's built from this moment. It's built being present in the moment. And as long as you can do that and not quit, you will eventually get to where it is that you want to go. And once you're there, you'll realize there's another mountain peak, right? There's another hill to climb.
Yeah.
So it's like we have a in our company, we say the joy is in the journey. And be grateful for what you have now, because the person that you were 5, 10 years ago would have killed to have these problems, right? And to have that life. So be grateful. Another really good book is called The Gap and the Gain.
Yes.
Um, that's a really good one. Another couple other ones is Don't Believe Everything You Think. Um, Really great read. It's a shorter
Awesome.
book, but like just know, like if you're going through it and you're struggling right now, like that's part of it. Like you're
Yeah.
on track, right? Like that means you're actually getting somewhere. It's not bad. It's good.
Mhm.
Like you're
Mhm.
actually pushing yourself beyond what you thought was possible. So anyways, yes, appreciate it, man.
No, I appreciate you for sharing that. I'm sure a lot of people are going to find that relatable and valuable. And I'm sure something will ring true for them. So thanks again, Steve, for coming on the podcast.
All right. Thanks a
Cheers.
lot. Bye.